Well, welcome back. I trust you and your family had a delightful 4th of July weekend and good family time. Well, now it's time to move along with Smile Mile Inheritance, Chapter 3. So let's get ready so we can go. Gotta have eyeballs, for that. I don't need my marker. Okay, Chapter 3. Day 1 continued. The Fence Line Trail. The ranch house is behind Thomas, and in front is the gate, just ahead. With his long legs, Thomas quickly catches up with the group and drags in behind Ella. Ralph is hard put to keep up with him. Thomas immediately complains, "It's after 12 o'clock. This is not the time to be starting a hike." Ella, holding her fancy hat tight to her head, chooses to ignore him and pushes on to keep up with Bruce. She walks with Bruce just to be away from Thomas. Paul and Ralph can see what is coming up for this afternoon. Both sadly shake their heads as Paul moves ahead to be with his client. Bruce has set a normal Dude Ranch style pace over the rough terrain, making sure his guests can keep up with him. Soon the pathway begins to take more of an uphill slant and is more difficult for Ella. Jack is right by her side, weaving in and out of the horse's legs, and doesn't bother good old Champ at all. Champ has weathered many of these trail rides and hikes over the years and was Charlie's favorite choice for the greenhorns. Champ is up there in age, 20 years last spring. He's mild-mannered and friendly as a lap dog, yet strong as a workhorse. He's a Morgan, 13 hands tall, that's 55 inches. He's stout and built for hauling. You can sometimes take him for a ride. Well, Charlie did. And Champ didn't mind at all. Champ was born at the ranch when Ella was about 11 and living with her Uncle Charles. Champ was her favorite horse and was more like a friend. So when Charlie planned this adventure, he thought it would be nice for them to have a special friend along for the trek. Well, that's not working. There we go. In less than an hour, Ella slows down a bit, assuring Bruce that she can just do fine at keeping her own pace. She pats Champ on the neck and a couple of times, then falls back in the lineup. Paul easily paces himself to Ella's steps as she takes a place behind Champ. Bruce frequently looks over his shoulder to see how Ella is doing and paces himself to her and Champ. Thomas can see Ella is struggling to brace herself and keep her balance. He chooses to ignore her situation. Jack darts back and forth over the rocks and small brushes to walk with Ella for a while, as she carefully plants her feet to miss the rocks in the trail. She is pleased to have Jack walking as her companion. "He is a caring support system," she mutters, occasionally reaching down and pats his head. They walk together for a goodly time, then off goes Jack to walk with Thomas for about as long a time, weaving in and out of those long legs of his, just like he did with Champ. Then, just like Thomas had said, off goes Jack to explore, chase a rabbit, or go find Charlie. That thought tugs at Thomas's heart. Ella must move more carefully. Balancing her hat on her head in the wind and her feet on the trail seems to be more of a job than she anticipated, especially since the walk becomes more and more uphill to climb with every minute. Several times, Bruce looks back and must remind her, "Ella, put that hat on." Ella mutters to herself and she complies. Well, they move on down the road a ways. They are hiking uphill the whole way to the first corner post. Well, it's about 3 miles from the main gate. That kind of slope can zap your energy fast, especially in the heat of the afternoon. And that just adds to the difficulty. Paul notices that Ella is walking slower with each minute, and soon he can see she grimaces with each step. And he's earnestly concerned and asks, Are you okay, Ella? Ella bucks up, stands tall, and staunchly says, I'm doing just fine. Don't you men worry about me. I can handle this. As she gingerly steps around yet another big rock on the trail. Thomas is tired of pulling up the rear and bolts past Ella to catch up with Bruce. With his long legs, it doesn't take more than a millisecond to step over the rocks and bushes, and there he is, walking right beside Bruce in no time at all. Thomas takes the horse's lead reins from Bruce, strokes Champ's neck, and settles in to be a helper, a dude ranch type helper. Ralph had a hard time of it trying to match those long legs of Thomas's, yet he manages to get ahead of Thomas to film this surprising event on Thomas's part. Ralph is pleased to see that Thomas wants to be a helper, not just a hiker. Well, they move on up the road, and soon the 3:00 hour is upon them. That means the heat of the day is on them. They're still not at that first corner post. Ella is outright limping by now and refuses to let anybody help her. She just keeps muttering, I can do this. I can do this. I can. Oh, finally she reluctantly sits down on a boulder and cries out, I can't do this anymore. My feet are killing me. Bruce comes right to her and patiently asks, do you want a rest time, Ella? Ella boldly shouts, no, I need, then quietly she cries and softly says, yes. Bruce motions for the group to seek shade for the rest time. Pointing to a stand of trees about 10 feet away, he asks Ella, can you make it to those trees? She looks in that direction, sighs, and firmly says, I'll try. As soon as she tries to stand up, she collapses back on the rock and says, I can't, and she cries again and again in pain. Paul is beside himself. He had watched this coming on and offered several times to get help. She just kept refusing. As lovingly as he would his own daughter, Bruce quietly asks, well, what do you want, Ella? Ella is firm in her request. I want to make camp and rest for the night. My feet will be better in the morning. Everyone hears her. No one gives any response. Well, except Thomas, who is muttering all the while he takes Champ to a small clearing in the grove of trees about 20 feet into the forest, where there's shade and some grass for Champ to graze on. Thomas then begins to look for a place to unload the supplies. A couple of squirrels camper up the tree. A few rabbits scurried away. Bruce, with his fatherly concern, picks up Ella, then has to put her back down. Bruce calls out, Thomas, come and help Ella to the camp area. Thomas balks at that request. In fact, he's trying not to hear the request. Ralph is right there where he should be to catch the reaction on Thomas's face. Paul is poised and ready to help Ella. He is concerned that he can't help. He must keep the camera rolling and, as per Charlie's request, allow Thomas to be her helper. Ella is softly crying from pain. Bruce patiently walks over to Ellis in the stand of trees. Thomas looks at him. He keeps busy with Champ and says, it's the consequences of her own actions. She wouldn't wear the correct boots. Bruce places his hand on Thomas's arm and agrees wholeheartedly. Then sighing, Bruce quietly says, and when they do stupid things, family is there to help. Then Bruce takes over the unloading duties. Thomas stands there, not moving a muscle, except for his jawbone. It is grinding, and his mind is churning against the task at hand. Ralph wipes some sweat from his face as he keeps the camera rolling. Paul is hovering over Ella, wanting to help, yet he knows he can't. Charlie wants these two kids to work together to finish this trek. This is a trial of a trek. So much to learn, so little time. They wait. Finally, after Thomas sees that Bruce is set up the camp chair for Ella, he slowly walks over to his sister and reluctantly asks, "Do you need some help getting to that chair?" Ella looks up at her big brother, crying softly, and says, Do you mind helping me?" Thomas gallantly picks up his little pixie and carries her to the chair. He gently places her in the chair. Then he walks away into the forest, with Ralph and Jack following right along. Bruce has now found the first aid kit. Of course, it was right where he put in the champ's sleeping supply bags, and he gets a canteen of water. Quickly returning, Bruce kneels down beside Ella, with a semi-cooling shade of the tall pines, and comfortingly says, "We'll need to take off those boots. Just warning you, it will hurt." Ella stubbornly cries, "I kind of know that, Bruce." Then she bows her head and softly says, "I've done this before while dancing." Paul has to lean in so he can capture her words on the film. Bruce thinks, so begins the healing time. Hopefully, one night will work its magic. Not only on her feet, hopefully on both of their hearts. Well, let me check that time. Oh, yeah, it's looking like, yep, this is the time for me to cut it off. We'll carry on again next time. So, oh, yeah, the scripture that I gave you for the 4th of July Independence Men, I didn't get to tell you that that's straight from my heart. Joshua, chapter 1, verse 9, was a big heart saver for me when I was a single parent. Well, I had to go to work in the as an electrician, and that's a man's world back in the 70s when I had to do it. And I was afraid, really afraid I couldn't do it. So the words in Joshua, don't cry, don't cry. Be strong and courageous. Don't be afraid and discouraged, for the Lord thy God is with thee, whithersoever thou goest. Yeah, those words helped me several times. And now, you all take care and be sure and come back. I'll be here again. Continue reading chapter 3. And remember, the Lord is with you, whithersoever you are. And he will comfort you as you go forth with gentleness and kindness, striving to do what Jesus would do. Well, thanks for being here with me. See you again next time. Bye-bye now.